It was early morning. Kane might have called it the earliest morning. Realizing that sleep, while not necessary, was still possible in the digital circus, it led to you sleeping most of the day, causing you to lose your sense of time. In other words, you didn't know if it was day or night, especially with the constant brightness of the digital circus. You felt weird in your digital body. It felt light. Or perhaps your human self was just overweight. You didn't know. Here your body had taken on the appearance of a porcelain ballerina toy, with scarlet red thread coming out of hundreds of small holes on your head to create your hair. You kept it neatly tied in a long ponytail. Your clothes you had borrowed from Ragatha, as running around in the various colored tutus in your dresser was a little humiliating. And despite your skin and body looking like polished porcelain, it was actually quite squishy and soft to the touch. Your facial features were a little low poly, but functioned normally. The name Kane had decided for you was Fimble. You were walking through the hallway with the others' rooms, hoping to see anyone really. You were entirely unsure what time it was. Coming to think of it, when was the last time you did anything aside from sleep? Or kicking Kane out of your room as you tried to sleep? Some might say you were lazy or didn't want to find an exit, but you were positive the others would tell you if they found it. Well, maybe not if Jax was the one to find it, but his permanent absence would be a hint at finding it, which will probably narrow it down. You gently, almost shyly, knocked on every door, quiet enough to not wake them, but loud enough to hear should they be up. It was your way of checking their availability. Of course, you got no answers. At least, until you reached Ragatha's door. It wasn't closed. Quite unusual for the doll. And through the darkness of the opening you saw nothing. You knew from your introduction a couple weeks ago that the quarters were the only somewhat private place you and the other characters had. Kane being the only one able to break these doors open. Of course, 100% privacy was always impossible, but it was something. And so you sighed, leaning into the opening. Ragatha's room was fully dark. It was nearly impossible to make anything out except for vague shapes. Part of you wanted to call out, but if she was asleep, you didn't want to wake her. In that case, you'd just quickly close the door. Maybe return to your bed. Your eyes were only slowly adjusting to the darkness, and it took you a few moments, but you were hearing something. A wet, almost slimy noise. You poked your head further into the room, narrowing your eyes to tiny slits. As dark shapes became more visible, from what you could tell, Ragatha's room was decorated like the bedroom of a very spoiled child, probably to fit with her doll aesthetic. And finally, you saw it. Movement. On a big, white bed. Those were moans. You gulped. Oh God. Two silhouettes. The one top, lanky, with suspiciously long ears, was working himself into someone else. Your right eye twitched as your body was unable to fully process the information it was receiving. You pulled back a little, feeling hot and embarrassed, heart pounding. Taking a step away from the door. Of course, you knew what you should do, but you didn't. It was like a car accident. And so again you poked your head inside. slowly breathing through your nose to be as quiet as possible, while also taking in the lewd scents as you watch the bunny man and the doll girl do things to each other. Jax chuckled suddenly. Ah! You dodged, pulling your head back, thinking Ragatha just saw you. What's wrong? I thought you'd like it when I pinch you. Not there, she stuttered. You gulped. For a moment you thought you'd die, as a bit of sweat ran down your forehead. But that's when, for less than a second, you noticed the yellow flash of Jax's eyes. His head was slightly turned to the right, looking directly at you, your eyes meeting. You whimpered and quickly pulled away, blushing hard. But just as you took a few steps away, you heard Jax say out loud, "Oh no, Thimble, don't look!" Followed by a loud and scared, "What?" from Ragatha. Slapping both hands in your mouth, you rushed over to your room, slamming the door shut. Out of utter embarrassment, you hid in one of your room's corners. Your heart was still pounding. It honestly hurt. Face flushed. You shivered, unable to think clearly. After a while, however, there was a knocking on your door. Your eyes darting towards it, and you took a few moments to answer. Thimble, it's okay. I'm not mad. Just... Can we talk? That was Ragatha's embarrassed voice. Slowly huddling towards the door, you opened it with a shaking hand. Seeing Ragatha, fully clothed, standing there with her arms crossed, unable to look into your eyes. Jax nowhere to be seen. Do you have a moment? Obviously I do. You said that so quiet she almost didn't hear it. Alright. Ragatha looked back towards her door. When she left, for you, he had said, "I'll try taking a nap. Wake me up when you want to keep going. Or not. You have my consent to do it while I'm asleep." With just the most shit-eating grin. Ignoring the wave of mild disgust she had been feeling in this moment, she followed you into your room. Oh, it's, cozy here? She commented helplessly. It wasn't a cozy room. It was an empty ballerina studio, with some scattered Lego toys and a futon to sleep on. You had taken great care in covering the wall of mirrors on its right side, with clothing pieces and blankets. Sure, that didn't leave a blanket for yourself, but the little circus always had a pleasant 20 degrees Celsius, so sleeping on the blanket was okay. Ragatha sat down next to you on your futon. Her hands in her lap, she stared at your door. It was obvious that all she wanted to do right now was run. So, wanna talk about it? You suppressed the deadpan. Because I feel like, we should talk about it to avoid awkwardness when we go on our next adventure. You gulped and turned your gaze to your feet, which suddenly had become the most interesting thing in the whole digital circus. I'll take that as a yes. God damn it, you thought. So this isn't a, when a mama doll and a papa bunny really like each other scenario. Already off to a terrible start, Ragatha. Good job, she thought. It's more of an abstraction thing. Furrowing your brows, you looked at her as she helplessly breathed through her mouth. You haven't seen anyone extract yet, so it's just a concept to you. I just assumed it was like death. Ragatha bit her lower lip. It's close, not exactly, but sure, let's call it death for now. She inhaled painfully before leaning back, using her arms for support, as she looked up at the ceiling. The awkward silence could be cut with a knife, and she probably felt more uncomfortable than you did. Okay, see it like this, she finally said. Abstraction is equal to death, but it's more of a personality death, where you lose your identity, yourself. What I'm trying to say is the adventures help to not abstract, and being together helps to not abstract. She went quiet for a moment, realizing how difficult this must be for her. You finished her sentence. I suppose anything to not abstract? Yeah, exactly. Do you think I'm a beep now? You shook your head. I'm more thinking, why Jax? Specifically? There was a strange undertone in your voice Ragatha picked up on, but she couldn't quite identify it. I mean, who else is there? Kinger? Zubul? I mean, sure, maybe she would have a part that could be used, but I doubt she'd be up for it. You know, Zubul is Zubul. You rolled your eyes, obviously. We managed to do it behind Kane's back through observation. You know, finding the times we call for him and he doesn't appear. We aren't sure if he sleeps or needs to sleep at all, but... Here, let me try. Kane! Kane! See, he isn't coming. Another silence followed, with both of you unsure of what to say, at least until... Are you jealous? She asked. Ragatha only said it because she wanted to break the silence with anything. Maybe this could lead to some friendly banter, other than her simply saying, well, talk to you later on today's adventure. But it was your answer that took the doll completely off guard. Yes. This, yes, felt like a gut punch to the doll. Since you arrived, you only participated in maybe 4 adventures, which wasn't much. And suddenly she questioned every moment, every interaction, every second you spent with the bunny man. And no, there didn't seem to be any connection. Maybe... You mean in like a crush kind of thing, right? You tapped your fingers together. He's funny. It took Ragatha a lot of mental processing power to not roll her eyes. Okay, so it's a crush, I got it. Ragatha looked at her feet. And then grinned. Quietly. Almost evilly. Was this how Jax felt all the time? So, you wanna do it with him? You blushed hard, staring at her face, and then she put a finger in her mouth. Keep quiet. Follow me if you want to. She winked, and then she got up, walked behind her, your fingers tweedling anxiously. Ragatha motioned you to stop, before moving a finger across her mouth, as if pulling a zipper shut. And then she slipped into a room. You remained outside, gulping, legs slightly shaking. Hey Raggy, have you dealt with it? Mm-hmm. Are you getting ready for round 2? You heard the noise of cloth and then... hey, what are you... Shush! she interrupted him, chuckling. Since when are you such a beep? You then peeked into the room, seeing Ragatha standing behind Jax, who was lying on her bed. She motioned for you to come closer. So, what are you waiting for? He said as he wiggled his hips. Smugly, Ragatha kneeled down next to his ear as she purred. I have to get ready myself. Just be patient. Her eyes were focused on you, and then you understood. Quickly and clumsily, you shed the borrowed dress you got from the doll yesterday. Your heart was pounding with anxiety and anticipation. So strong, you almost ran away, but your legs were no longer listening to your brain's commands as they followed the motioned orders of Ragatha. Carefully, climbing on the bed, straddling Jax as he lay there, hands behind his head, pants pulled down to his knees, and your eyes widened. Ragatha had shoved her underwear over his head, effectively blindfolding him. He purred. You could see his mouth. He was smugly grinning at you, or more, at Ragatha. With her hands, the doll motioned for you to kiss him. Quietly you gulped, before leaning down, placing your lips on his. His tongue immediately, greedily, and aggressively shoved itself into your throat, violently swishing around, exchanging liquids. It was difficult not to audibly react, and it was difficult to tell whether or not you liked it, but in the end, you decided to really enjoy it. And just as your little heart felt as if it was going to burst, Jax retreated from your mouth. Smugly, he stared upwards, audibly gulping down the salva he had stolen from you. Still unable to see who he was kissing, though he could tell it wasn't Ragatha. But never mind that. He liked this. This was really hot. Well, aren't we eager tonight? Aren't we eager tonight? Purred Ragatha into Jax's ear. Oh, I'm totally ready for whatever happens next. Oh, how about I reward that eagerness, said Ragatha as she winked at you to get ready. We have reached the end of the video, and thank you very much for watching until this point. Please remember to like and subscribe, and comment something down below. I read every comment that you write me. But before we say goodbye, I would like to shout out all of my lovely channel members, starting with my lovely stewards. Kathy Misery, Hopeful, Mystic Jade 111, Annabelle A. Contreras, Giovanni Moriarty, Twilight Mia, Angry Boxman, Hella, BitBit, Melofia, and Anonymous Weep. And of course, a big thank you to all of my other channel members. You guys are awesome, and you keep me fed. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a nice one, and goodbye.